Welcome to Feel Good Fridays, our weekly television show to help local nonprofit organizations raise money during these challenging times. Impacted by both a tornado and a pandemic, Nashville area nonprofits have been hard hit. Donations to nonprofits are important to keep their organizations running. And we at NECAT want to help by sharing their stories and raise funds for as many different nonprofit organizations as possible. Hello, my name is Sheila Paz, and I am the chair of the board of NECAT. With me today is our vice chair, Shannaline Brandmeier, and today we have two guests, Bill Fondren, a volunteer at NAMI, and Robin Noblin, executive director of NAMI, National Alliance for Mental Illness. Welcome and thank you so much for being here. It is early, and I am grateful that you guys were available to be here with us. How are you doing?
Doing well. I mean, the big thing is the sun's back out. So, that's for mental health, that's a big thing. And at NAMI Davidson, those are one of the things we tell people to do is go outside. Sun's out, go outside. It's good for you.
How about you, Bill?
I concur with what Robin just said. Sunshine makes all the difference.
It's been a tumultuous year, especially for Nashville. We had the tornado, the flood, and then another flood just recently. Everybody's been in lockdown, and it's just keep on and pouring on us. It's like wounding on top of a wound. It's like it never stops. And we are thankful for organizations like you that are there to help those people that need at least a phone call to say, how are you doing today? Tell us about your organization.
So NAMI Davidson County is part of the largest national organization. The National Alliance on Mental Illness is the parent agency. And we're an independently operated and funded affiliate here in the greater Nashville area. So we are dedicated to the support, education, advocacy, and awareness on behalf of people with severe and persistent mental health issues. We're talking things like schizophrenia, bipolar, clinical depression, PTSD, OCD, different things in the alphabet that we know can be related to mental health. And so our role is to provide free support groups, peer-to-peer support groups, free peer caregiver education. We do stigma busting presentations out in the community, and we serve as an advocacy role in both individual advocacy for people who may be in the jails and the criminal justice system.
Every soul that you touch is a soul that is being, grateful for your service. And I'm grateful that you are providing that service to our people here in the Nashville area. And I understand that you not only reach Nashville area, but there are people from Tennessee that come to you as well, right?
So we go out as NAMI Davidson County, we go out to 30%, we're able to track by zip code that 30% of the people that we serve come into us from all over Middle Tennessee. And since we're virtual, we have people attending support groups and caregiver education from Memphis and Pittsburgh and California this last week. And so we serve a lot of people. And then because we're the IT city, because we have so many people moving here to Nashville, and very often young people looking to get into the music business, what we get calls from all over the country, because we'll have somebody that has moved here with very little means, hoping to strike it big. And the talent level here is some of the best in the world, quite frankly. And so when they get here, they realize, wow, this may be harder. And if they already had some underlying issues, then those issues may come to the forefront. So I'm getting calls from family members from out of state going, I have a loved one that's just been brought into crisis, the crisis stabilization unit, or they're in the hospital, or I just got a call from somebody I love, and they're very depressed and I'm worried about them. What's there in Nashville? And so we are connected to all the major providers. We have wonderful relationships with Vanderbilt Psychiatric, with Skyline Madison. We work with the Sheriff's Department. We work with the Mental Health Cooperative and the Crisis Stabilization Unit. We refer people to Centerstone or Parthenon, Centennial or Rolling Hills if they're over, closer to the Franklin area. So, or into one of our sister agencies that may be a better source, targeted source for what that person is dealing with. But since mental health, I always tell people, if you have a brain, you're our people. And so, so mental health hits at all ages and stages. So we help families with children as young as 3, and we help people up into their 90s. And we try to be very culturally aware because different cultures have different norms in the way that they look at this. So that is something that we do as much listening as we do chatting, though it may not sound like it at the moment.
That is so funny. No, it's important that you explain that because this is Nashville's grown so much. It's like a melting pot of cultures, so everybody have a different way of dealing with things. And I learned that. I mean, I'm from Cuba and my cultures are different than yours, and so for same for somebody from India or Native Americans, so
I think it's it's great, all the peer-to-peer. I was going to ask, before the pandemic, were those face-to-face?
Yes, we were face-to-face. We had, at the time when the pandemic hit, actually when the tornado hit, we had 3 monthly support groups that we were doing on the first week, the third week, and the fourth week of the month. And when the tornado hit, we recognized that there might be a need for additional help. So we made some additional support groups available just for the tornado. And then, of course, 2 weeks later, we were all shutting down, and we didn't miss a beat. We pivoted to online immediately. And so what we found, and we kind of suspected this would be coming once we saw what was happening. So initially, we started getting an increased number of calls on anxiety and depression. And so for the first 2 months of the pandemic, we were fielding more calls on that. Mary Polakowski is our president. She is currently the interim president over at Vanderbilt Behavioral Health. So I remember Mary and I talking back in, I think it was April. And we know that when a crisis hits an individual, it usually takes that person, when there's any kind of crisis or trauma, 6 to 8 weeks to kind of formulate. They're caught up in the crisis at first, but it's usually about 6 to 8 weeks in a traumatic event for them to kind of formulate and go, wait, look what's happened, and then step back and ask for help. So 6 to 8 weeks in, we started getting calls, an 60% increase in calls of people in psychosis, people with bipolar mania who had started to get psychotic features, people who may have been living kind of fragilely, but maybe on their own, they have a major chronic illness, which in their case is mental illness, could have been schizophrenia, schizoaffective, bipolar disorder, and there are plenty of other disorders, but they were getting hit with, this was knocking their socks off. And so in their fragility, they weren't able to maintain. They ended up moving in sometimes with families, and because their mental health issues were so intense, they were we were sending scores of people into, over the last year, we were calling the non-emergency police, we were calling mobile crisis, we were sometimes helping people with the assistance of 911. I remember sitting on the phone one day with somebody from the time he called me with in a suicidal way with a razor in his hand, to the police allowed him to keep the phone with him while they transported him to the crisis stabilization unit. So we were able to keep him calm the entire time he got in there. Now that's not what a normal day for us, as having somebody that we're moving into crisis in that way. Normal day for us is, I'm having a hard time. I don't know where to go for support. Somebody told me about you guys, or I looked you up on the internet. What do you do? And then we start explaining that we're a peer-to-peer organization. My dad was hit with paranoid schizophrenia when I was 7. I've been living with this my whole life. We went through 8 years of major crisis. until my dad figured out his equilibrium. Some people can work full time after this, some people can't. My dad couldn't. So my mom had to become the breadwinner. Dad figured him out. And I was very proud of him because he fought a battle in his head. And we ended up having a great relationship. And for the last 25 years of his life, he never had a hospitalization because he was able to work part-time. So people need to be able to understand this and figure out what their stuff is. We kind of call it stuff. We know it's tough.
I like that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
stuff. And I don't care who you are, you have stuff. The difference with our folks is the level of intensity and what it does for your life. If it's stopping your life, come see us about your stuff and we can help channel you into places.
For me, I have bipolar 2 disorder with bad anxiety that comes along with it, the chronic type of anxiety, not your situational stuff that you can, some people can just kind of push through that. I can push through it when I'm performing. If I was doing something on the radio in the past, that was one thing to be a little anxious about that. But the jitteriness that's always with me, the edginess, almost always on the verge of a panic attack sometimes, is the way it is. And I've learned how to cope with it and manage it by all means. And meds help, of course, too. But it all started for me, I want to say, in 2002 when I was diagnosed with the bipolar 2 disorder. Had a meltdown, didn't know what was going on, suicidal ideation, ended up going to a treatment center, a recovery center, a psych hospital, whatever you want to call it, out in Arizona, and then another place in New Mexico. So I was gone for about 9.5 weeks. And that changed the trajectory of my life because I got the clarity of what was going on with the bipolar 2, and it helped me to be, shall I say, more patient, understanding, and forgiving of myself and my professional struggles, my personal struggles that had been in my life prior to that point. I realized that they were not all my fault, which was good. I can't blame everything on the diagnosis. Some of it's just part of being human. Some of it's personality. Some of it here even at age 52, it's immaturity. I mean, I can admit that. No question about it. My wife would verify that too in a heartbeat. But I discovered NAMI when I was hosting a radio show on a local station, and Robin came in for an interview. And it was Mental Illness Awareness Week, I believe, is what. And that's how we met. And from that point on, I've stayed in touch with Robin and have helped out in various ways with the walk. With the Day on the Hill downtown, which is a day where people learn to talk to their legislators, in other various ways. I've helped out in the office occasionally. So it's just, that has been helpful to me. And Robin, of course, is very understanding of what's going on, no judgment, incredible patience, incredible compassion. And that's key. The biggest thing about this is just wanting people to understand. I don't care for any special treatment or anything like that because of what I struggle with, but I just want people to understand it. And I've been in situations where there are those who minimize or negate or diminish mental health issues as not being a big deal as compared to, I don't know, a kidney problem or whatever you may deal with. And it's like I say, it's not that I want them to treat me any differently or super special or anything like that, but just understand that this is real. And because I've had people say, oh, everybody has moody days and this, that, and the other. And I get it. I mean, we all, everybody does have ups and downs and moods, but with a mood disorder, it's just going to be a little more intense. It's going to be a different experience. And there's a lot of people out there who struggle with this kind of stuff that don't have the resources that I do, don't have access to the help that I've had. And I feel very blessed in that respect because I've been able to function fairly well once I got the diagnosis and got the meds in my system.
When did you have the realization that you had a problem with your mental issues?
I was struggling to stay with jobs, coming and going, things like that. And it was just erratic. And I wondered to myself, can I not hold down a job? Am I just lazy? What's going on? And I know other people wondered that too. And that was a sign that something was going on. And then my wife, Mimi, was talking to somebody she knows who had dated a guy who had bipolar 2 disorder. And this person said to Mimi, it sounds like your husband, I went by Billy at that time, is dealing with bipolar 2. When Mimi told me that, I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to think about it. It wasn't an option. So it took a few more years and then having a meltdown of my own and hitting rock bottom in my own time for me to finally seek out the help that I needed. And of course, Mimi still rolls her eyes. I told you.
This is part of what we want to do, is get people to recognize it, either themselves or with a loved one, sooner, get them into treatment quicker, so that they don't have to go through all this, so that you can, and what we're finding, what we know statistically, what the research is showing is that most people who have a mental health disorder, and most of these, some of them are trauma-based, but most of them are biological conditions. And so most of them we know now start by the age of 14. It's just that we are not aware of that. There is care. And if you don't have money and you don't have health insurance, don't let that stop you. Call us. So we know when this happens, because we are an organization of lived experience, we can't guarantee it every time, but we know the ins and outs. And so, and the people that lead our groups are people who've had, 50 hours of training and a mentorship. We don't just let anybody loose in the impact that they can make on somebody's life. But the scariest thing for people to do is make that first call.
And people like Bill are a great advocate for NAMI, right? How long have you been involved with NAMI to the fact that to become a volunteer?
I became a volunteer shortly after Robin and I met. She came over to the radio station where I was working to do the interview. That would have been 8 years ago. I've lost track at this point. But piggybacking on something I said earlier about people talking about a mental health issue just being something to get over, it's kind of like, would you tell someone who had migraines, well, everybody has headaches. What's the big deal? It's not the same thing. And talking about stigma and addressing it at first, I knew I felt awful when I was 18 and I was at the College of William and Mary, but I didn't know what was going on. And they were so smart as to put the counseling center right next to the sorority houses. You think that's going to encourage guys to go over to a counseling center? And not that it would have helped a whole heck of a lot back then. They may not have been able to figure it out, what was going on. And there were limited treatment options in, the fall of 1987 and spring of 1988 when I was a college freshman. But the whole NAMI experience is a really good one. It's a really good resource for folks, not only the folks who are struggling with a mental or brain illness, but those who are in relation with them, whether it's a spouse, a sibling, a parent. There are programs that can help everyone involved because it doesn't just affect the person who has or who lives with the mental illness or the brain illness.
For those watching that they have a loved one or a friend, how do you be supportive? Because there is a stigma around it. And even having that conversation with your loved one or a friend, and you say there are resources, people put up a wall. They don't want to hear it.
Yeah. So what we say to those family members, girlfriends, siblings and children of people with mental health issues, call us. We do a 90-minute primer once a month on a Saturday. Our website is namidavidson.org. And if you get on our calendar, you'll see all the times and dates for the different support groups, and that monthly primer, which is the family and friends primer, where we'll take 90 minutes and we'll talk to you about what is this stuff, first of all, what is, I'm seeing this behavior, what is this? And then how you can talk to somebody, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And how do you take care of yourself when you love somebody that has a mental health issue? Because that is just as important, to be taking care of yourself. So we try to talk as peers, but the thing that's helpful, regardless of who you are, is one, listen. Bill mentioned non-judgmentally. And yeah, you may see things that are different. And so in families, You want to stop scary behavior as far as Bill mentioned, suicidal ideation. So if you have somebody that is expressing that they don't want to be here, they hate being alive, it's so very hard for them. Talk to them and say, you know, it hurts my heart to hear you're having such a hard time. I'm worried that you're thinking of hurting yourself. Are you thinking of hurting yourself? Because I know where we can get some help. And I would miss you so much. And I would love for you to stop being in this pain. So I know a place we can get some help. Now, if somebody is imminently going to harm themselves, they've got the means in front of you that, that's a 911 call. You don't call us. There is a number I would like your viewership to have, and that is the crisis stabilization number. And that number is area code, it's 855-274-7471. That is a 24-hour number. That's 855-274-7471. That is the Tennessee Mental Health Crisis Line. And what's great about that is no matter where you are in Tennessee, that will answer in the nearest crisis stabilization unit. And the people there are trained to talk to people in crisis.
About the walk, how does the virtual walk works, and how can people participate? And number two, I know that you were looking for a volunteer in the Spanish community.
Yes, thank you. So yeah, I'm going to start with the latter. We are a diverse organization, and so we like developing peers in all the different communities in Nashville, because people will respond to people that look and sound like them. It's just pure human nature. So if anyone's, I don't have anyone right now from the Spanish community. I would love to have someone that is bilingual, that can, that is someone who is a peer, who either has lived experience or is a family member. And as I say, your boat stopped rocking and you think you're ready to help somebody else. So I'd love for you to reach out to our office and let's talk about that, because I really would like to share with you the opportunities that we have available for that. And anybody that's interested in volunteering, we have different opportunities, and that include the support groups, which take quite a bit of training, and the stigma busting presentations, community outreach when we go back into the community, fundraising, and even board service. So there's a lot of ways people can help. So the other thing is the walk, a virtual walk. You can do it anytime, any place, anywhere. Just do it safely, distanced, together. And so
and by April 17th.
And by April 17th. And so what we want you to do is go out there, and if you're a runner, do a 5K and take a picture of your route, send it to us. We're on social media, on Instagram, we're on Twitter, and we're on Facebook. Send us your pictures of you doing that. But first, what you're going to need to do is go to NAMI Walks Greater Nashville. And so go to our website, our walk site, go to NAMI Walks Greater Nashville. It's a fundraiser. We're hoping you'll be able to donate whatever you can. That's important to us. But it's also awareness. So we want you getting out there and showing your friends, hey, I stood up for mental health. I'm not afraid to say things like schizophrenia, bipolar. It's okay. And I'm willing to support people. So, so go out there and, get engaged. You'll find it on NAMI Davis. It's NAMI Walks Greater Nashville. And Bill, I'm going to let you've been a good advocate for the walk. So thank you, Bill and Mimi. So I'd love for you to share about the walk.
You're welcome. Yes. Well, the walk, for many years, obviously it was a one-day event in person. Last year, it became virtual with the pandemic, and it's virtual once again this year. And like Robin said, you can do this however you want to do it. You can walk on your treadmill, you can walk outside, you can do a 5K for yourself. However you want to do it, whatever spirit you want to do it in, go right ahead and do it in the spirit of helping mental health.
NAMIWalks.org/, Greater Nashville.
There we go. Okay. Want to make sure we got that correct. But it's a fun event to be a part of and to know that you're making a difference, even in a subtle way. It's not the same, obviously, as in person, but it is something that is going to be very beneficial to an organization that makes a huge difference to a lot of people locally with NAMI Davidson, and statewide NAMI Tennessee, and nationally NAMI, the NAMI national organization. So, but right now focus is NAMI Davidson County for the walk.
And I would like to say that we still have, because we're virtual, normally we wouldn't have this, but because we're virtual, we still have some sponsorship spots. If you want to sponsor with us, Vanderbilt Psychiatric Hospital has been our premier sponsor for the last 8 years. And we have other great folks that are out there helping us to do sponsorships. Alkermes is one of the national sponsorships, as is Humana and Takata. But that'll put you on the t-shirt if you're a small business sponsor and you do under $2 million a year in operating funds. For $250, you can be on the t-shirt, and you'll be on our NAMIDavidson.org website all year long. But we do have some teams that are going out walking together. They're planning to walk together. A yoga studio, had a fundraiser, and they donated. Sometimes people do bake sales and donate it back into the walk. So we call it a walk, but it's however you want to do this, and come back to us. And then we're looking forward to next year to having our Love Fest, because we do this as a big event in Shelby Park, and it's such a positive event for mental wellness. And that's our focus, is we want to get you to mental wellness. So.
Anything else you want the NECAT viewers to know about NAMI Davidson County?
I think.
Give us the website and the phone number one more time, at least.
So the website is NAMIDavidson.org, and the phone number is 615-891-4724. We can use your support in so many ways, whether it be volunteering, fundraising, and becoming one of our lead volunteers in different communities throughout the county. But we do hope we'll see you for the walk, and that you'll be a part of that. And that'll just be one of the first of many ways that you engage with us. Thank you.
We thank you both for being here today. And mental health illness is a huge deal across the country and around the world. It's not only here in the Nashville area, but we are thankful for you today for being here and for providing information for our viewers. If you need help with mental health, you have any problem, you call the hotline 1-855-274-7471. Is that the number?
That's the 24-hour. I want to make sure people,
24 hours. If you
24 hours. And it takes a strong mind to seek help. And so this is a strength, not a weakness. Help yourself and help the ones you love.
Si necesita ayuda tiene algún problema de salud mental, por favor llame 24/7 al número 1-855-274-7471. I had to say that in Spanish because I don't know who's watching. And we want everybody to feel included, and have the support that they need in these challenging times. Thank you again for being here. If you want to donate, you should go and donate and support NAMI Davidson County and volunteer, do the virtual walk, just go for a cookout or whatever you want to do, post your picture, donate in the meantime. And thank you again for tuning in for Feel Good Fridays, and make sure you tune in next Friday for our awesome next nonprofit. Ciao.